So this weekend we have some outstanding action again, as the winter months in national hunt racing always seems to promise. It's brilliant racing from Sandown. We've got some good racing up at Aintree as well, some fascinating stuff there, and some other good supporting cards. But we're going to cover the full card at Sandown. We're also going to talk about Aintree, 3 races from the ITV schedule at Aintree, and hopefully we're able to come up with some more winners. We've been doing pretty well on these podcasts, Tom.
Yeah, the last couple of Saturdays we've banged in a few winners, haven't we? So let's make it 3 weeks in a row.
As you will all know, the Tingle Creek is a really important race for the racing calendar. In fairness, you can go back, and we talk about this. I've done this for a couple of years now, and talk about some of the brilliant memories that come to mind. Certainly, sort of Moscow Flyer, Well Chief, Altior as well, and some outstanding sprinters. And John Bond goes there. We'll talk about the race itself, but John Bond goes there to make it 3 from 3 on the back of probably one of his worst performances. So lots to be admired about the race itself.
It's always a race to look forward to, isn't it? It's a great memory of the race over the years, especially growing up. Obviously, you mentioned the likes of Wild Chief, Moscow Flyer, Azertiop, those 3. They're standout horses, weren't they? Great era of racing, I thought.
Yeah.
We're looking forward to a good race come Saturday. There's 3, really nice horses in with a great shout. So promises to be a good race.
It does look a very good renewal, I think. So it's one we can look forward to. Certainly with a fair few having a good chance. So, right. So first race from Sandown is a nice early start there. If you go in, it's 12:10, and you'll be treated to a very, very good novices hurdle with a lot of horses sort of coming into this on the back of some really good form. I know Jamie Snowden really likes his horse Fresh Perspective. He's 2 out of 2 over hurdles. He's got an initial mark of 125. I don't think if they went handicapping with him, he'd be doing too badly off that mark. But for me, I really like Sober Glory here, and he's a horse I've got a lot of time for. He's a horse I've been following from the very get-go, which means that actually I've been doing pretty well, because I think he is 5 out of 5 so far. And he's aiming to make it 6 out of 6 here. Look, all round, the Hobbs-Johnson-White connection this season have had a brilliant season. They've got so many good young horses. We'll talk about another one later on. And I just think this big, strapping, chasing type for the future will probably be one that plays through the mud at Sandown, which it's likely to be, Tom. Do you have a different opinion, or do you want to talk about any other horses?
No, I love Sober Glory. Great bumper campaign last season, wasn't it? Accumulating with a really impressive win in a hot race at Newbury.
Yeah.
Return to action and hurdling debut at Chepstow. It absolutely bolted up, beating a nice horse of Skelton's by 12 lengths. Pardon the steal, I thought. Look, in relish conditions here at Sandown, you can just see him powering up that hill, can't you? And ultimately proving way too good for the rest of his rivals. A lot of respect for the others. Don't get me wrong; they've all showed lots of winning form in between them.
Yeah,
really promising individuals. Soldier Rees won a pretty average race at Cheltenham. Fresh Perspective, again, really impressive on first couple of starts. The second has come out and let that form down from Weatherby, was it last time?
Yeah.
Hurricane Pat is the horse I expect to chase home Sober Glory. Again, good bumper horse, made a nice winning start over hurdles at Sandown. Really tough. I think talented individual himself. He's got a lot to come, that horse, that's for sure. And I think he's like this one to chase home Sober Glory.
Yeah, agreed. Don't agree with the chasing on, but I think I agree that Sober Glory is the one to be on. Yeah. So the next race, the second race, is the 12:43. I sort of talked to Tom earlier on about a horse.
I agree,
who I like. I like Just a Rose for Paul Nicholls, Harry Cobden. I just think that I can't get my head around the performance from last season, and she never really repeated that, or got the chance to repeat it again after she was pulled up. And they've been mindful with her, looked after her. Whether it's the only thing that's still sticking in my head, though, Tom, is a lot of Paul Nicholls is still needing the first time run up this season, aren't they?
Yeah, they have, and they're still showing signs of it, aren't they? You'd like to see her run under a belt, but very unexposed. That winning start at Taunton was ridiculously impressive. If you haven't seen it, go and have a look. It's not the most competitive race in the world, is it? You got a couple of horses. I think the Harry Derham horse in Dramatic Encore, I think that's one that's going to be worth following here. It was second behind a couple of nice horses in Crazy Than Daisy and a Dash of Sandy for Snowden's the last day.
Yeah.
Expected to come on a lot for that one. that was a horse I was going to side with. But I do have have to mention Just a Rose here, who will be thereabouts, that's for sure.
Okay. I think it's going to be an interesting market sort of watching race, quite frankly. I could easily see this being one where you wake up and you see a lot of money for one, and that might be the way you go, which I know isn't us giving you an exact tip right now, but my gut feeling is that Just a Rose is going to be a decent mare for Paul Nicholls. I don't know if today in this race, in the 12:43 at Sandown on Saturday is the day, but she's got plenty of scope, and I think with a bit of time on her side, she's now 6. You could easily see a big improvement.
Absolutely, yeah, dramatic on for me. But Just a Rose definitely worth keeping a close eye on.
Okay, then we go into the per attempt qualifier, which is the 120 at Sandown. Kiki Joe was a really impressive winner on soft ground at Cheltenham, beating, I suppose, a lot of sort of good yardsticks in many ways for the per attempts itself.
I think it was Prince Zolta, wasn't it? The Skeltons. He only had a featherweight that day of 9 stone 13. Kiki Joe was actually, he's quite well under himself. With Go Wild Road in there off 12 stone, who ran an Admiral race back in third, actually. But yeah, Kiki Joe's the horse I like. I backed him a couple of times of a fence at Newbury last year, and I think one on the first occasion, and just found the trip a bit too sharp the second time, and rallied really, really well close home. I think the step up to 3 miles brought out loads of improvement from this horse, and ultimately he seemed to be a better hurdler. After that Cheltenham win, I think it's definitely one to keep on the right side of at the moment, that's for sure. Okay. But the one I was slightly concerned of was absolutely Doyen for the Nicholls team. I thought it was an impressive winner at Ascot, and there's definitely lots more to come from that.
That wasn't a bad little run, was it? It was exactly what he's beaten that day.
It travelled so strongly, wasn't it? It's quite eye-catching throughout.
Yeah, it's hard to know, but yeah, definitely an improver for those connections. I'm going to stick with something in this race that's going to run with an absolute feather on its back, which is Turn the Lights Down Low for Martin Keighley. As you'd have seen, we went out to see Martin and his horses a couple of weeks back, and they've been running really well, to be honest with you. They've been in great form, and Freddie Keighley takes a further 7 off the back of this horse. I think he's just a really rapid, improving type. He's stepped up in trip the last 2 days. I don't think the further convenience of an extra couple of furlongs is going to harm this horse here. I think soft ground is a bit of an unknown. Like
the only question mark.
We're going to be looking at whether or not that's going to be something that stops the horse. But they've been quite careful with him, and I think there's a reasonable chance or reasonable mindset to think that this could improve again and go on again. And I think that the 3 miles trip doesn't look like it's going to inconvenience, especially given if you go back and watch the videos of how he's actually pulling away again at both races. I think he's going to run a big race, Turn the Lights Down Low. But I do respect Kiki Joe for me. That soft ground win the last days, he's gone up £7, but I don't think £7 looked like it would stop.
He's only a young horse as well, isn't he? It promises a lot more to come from that one. I think he's just one to keep on the right side of for the time being.
Okay. The Henry VIII Novices Chase last season, I believe, was won by a horse called Load of Sun, we'll talk about shortly. But there's 4 runners, so it's a small select field. But is this a small select field with a lot of quality about it? And I think we've had quite a bit of discussion about it before we come on here, Tom. And look, Lalamba's done nothing wrong.
Yes.
Right? But why are we both inclined to take it on? Is it the price or?
I mean, we're mad because they've all got to give it £6 as well, which looking back could be an absolutely impossible task. I think it's Sandown. It takes some jumping around there. It's probably the lack of an experience. I don't think we learned massive amounts at Exeter. There's a good few fences submitted, but from what he did jump, he was very good. Yeah, and on previous form from last year over hurdles, definitely has probably just about the best form, I would say. But look, I'm going to take on. I think this could be quite a tactical affair. There's going to be a bit of pace on in soft ground here at Sandown. It's going to be a right test. Alna Lamb's likely to get on with things.
Yeah, we're expecting that to go and
what it did at Cheltenham.
Yeah,
it's a great performance on the day. Actually. Yeah. But I'm going to go with Be Aware. I think Harry Skelton himself is just tactically a bit of a genius, to be honest. And I thought this had a really, really good run at Cheltenham last day. Got on a horse in July Flower, who I'm a big fan of. Get that real big fright, to be fair. I was only beaten a length. I just have the 2 runs of fences now, and I think that experience and really battle-hardened hurdler from last year as well, and always promised to be a better chaser. I'm going to take a chance on this one come Saturday.
Yeah. Well,
and the Scoutons love an ITV winner, don't they, on a Saturday?
They do, and we all know why the ITV winners are important, don't we? There's a nice, juicy £500 bonus for Harry, which no doubt, I'm sure he dishes that out and splits it up amongst everybody, I'm sure. I'm also going to take on the Lamba, but I'm going to take the Lamba on with lump sum. Again, look, first and foremost, the reason I'm taking the Lamba on is that there's twofold. One is I think this would be a tactical affair, and I think that's not what the Lamba will probably want. I think he probably wants a decent pace. He looked to me almost as if you could argue he'd probably be better for going further. And I think that Aldenham will probably go off and set a very strong pace here. So that could help him in terms of that. But the price at 4 to 6-ish, like early season chasers, novice chasers, I just don't think that the value's there at all. Like last season, I fancied Loderson. I think he was quite short, but I can't remember him being this short. I might be wrong, but
yeah.
I just think lump sum is the one to be with. And Sam Thomas's horse really impressed me at Uttoxeter the last day. Beat a horse called Jax Jr., who then went on to win himself by 12 lengths. But lump sum put 16 lengths between himself and Jax Jr. He really sort of asserted himself. He was plenty classy enough as a hurdler. Yeah. And I just got this feeling that actually this race will be run to suit lump sum, and that for that alone, I think he's a good player around about 4 to 1-ish. I'm not sure he'll go off that on the day. 4 to 6 for Lalamba. I know there's a little bit of weight to be given for that 4-year-old's allowance, but no, I think lump sum could win this, and equally, if I wasn't going to back lump sum, I'd probably be backing Be Aware, because again, I just feel like the price is completely
We're
wrong.
trying to get it beat.
We will get it beat. Come on.
Yeah.
And that's how Aldenham goes and runs them ragged.
Yeah.
Right, okay. The 225 is a handicap hurdle where Knickerbocker Glory for the Skeltons is favourite.
Yeah.
Did it win this race last year?
Yeah, absolutely destroyed them in this race last year. Yes, it's £6 higher, but it won off 6 stone higher last year, wasn't it? It was so impressive. Goes well fresh, love Sandown, love soft ground. There's so much to like. I think there's a few horses in the race you can definitely put a line through. So the only other one that I could see being a danger to this horse is Glenbray. Made a winning start this season at Sandown, over slightly further. They were a bit worried about the step up from trip that day, but actually saw it out really well. Battled all the way to the line, and if anything, needed the trip. So dropping back to 2 mile could actually be the question now. But for me, it's Knickerbocker Glory all day long. This seems to be his race each year, and I think we can go and do it again.
Yeah, conditions should be run to suit given the forecasted rain that's coming. I'm a Glenbray fan, and I don't mind this little step back in trip with Toby McCain-Mitchell.
The form was let down though, wasn't it? Which is the slight issue.
It was, but I think a step back in trip in a strong run race. Back on the track, I don't think he'll have any problems with soft ground at all, given that he's won over this sort of trip on soft ground. I think he was probably a little bit of a fortunate winner the last day in many ways because of the way the race was run to suit. But you can only do what you can do. Toby McCain-Mitchell takes 5 off again, 11 stone 2. It's a fairly well competitive horse, I think, and he'd be there somewhere in the mix. The one I've got to give a mention for is Katira. So Katira lowered the colours of Golden Ace at the start of this season, and let me tell you,
he was on it.
It was well deserved. Harry Skelton was on that day. Harry Skelton obviously rides the other horse, but I think the reason he probably rides the other horse is got to have something to do with the fact that Katira has 12 stone on its back. So Harry Atkins takes 7 off. I think Tristan's up at Aintree, so obviously Tristan can't do that. But yeah, Harry Atkins is a more than able deputy. I think Dan Skelton's got a lot of faith in these young jockeys. He definitely isn't afraid to do it. They've been messing around with the trip for this horse, and I also thought that Katira could end up in the fighting 5th as a bit of a pacemaker, but Tom kind of put me right there and said, I don't think so, because why would you do that if you own that horse? You'd be, and looking at the colours, they're not going to be doing that.
She's an extremely good mare in her own right, isn't she?
Is.
And she deserves to be running on merit.
She is. And Static Cave Taurus, the ground being soft will not be any issues. I actually think a 2 mile soft ground race is probably what she would prefer. and I think she'll go pretty well at a big price. That's Katira.
Yeah. On to the Tingle Creek.
On to the Tingle Creek, the big
race
one,
of
the big
day.
one. And
Really looking forward to it.
Look, Illitate Thompson's coming back to somewhere near a pretty tasty little price now, and something that resembles a backable price for sure, nearly even money. Load of Sud's been the sort of horse for the money the last few days, 5-2. You've got John Bon in here at just over 3-1, 130. And the rest are big prices. And I'll be honest with you, the other two, I'll be gobsmacked if they're anywhere near competitive. Let's dig into it a bit, Tom, because let's start with John Bon, because at Cheltenham he was so disappointing, wasn't he? And
yes,
you can't get away from that, can you?
But his record is absolutely unbelievable. He's never been up the first two, and he's once done that again at Cheltenham last month. But the times he has been second, it seems to appear to be at Cheltenham, doesn't it? And I don't think there's any coincidence towards that now. He just doesn't seem to be quite at his best at Cheltenham. Did he ever really hard-fought win the 1 year to beat the Grey Horse?
No, it still got beat.
He got beat by Elixir and that. So you take that form to anywhere else. Sandown, he's winning that race all day long, isn't he? So I just don't think he's at his best.
It's not actually the way he runs at Cheltenham. It's actually the way he jumps around there, isn't it? Though?
Yeah,
it's a bit bizarre, isn't it?
It is extremely bizarre because Sandown's a hell of a test on jumping. He seems to thrive there, and so I'm going to put a line through the last run, and I expect to see a much better horse come Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
But the horse I'm going to go with, and I'll always go with, is Load of Sud. I'm a huge fan. Love conditions, jumps for fun. It's just so much to like. He's an emphatic winner that day at Cheltenham. Harry was very clever. He saw sort of John Bon make a mistake up front, and he seized his opportunity, took it up, and the race was won so far out, wasn't it? And it was an emphatic victory in the end. And I think he's have a big campaign this year. Skelton kicked himself for the Arkle Day because he ran him in the Kingmaker, or what I think it was.
At Warwick, wasn't it?
Yeah, not so long before. And he said he didn't really need to go there, and he think it just kind of took the sting out of him a little bit. And I think he wasn't quite at his best in the Arkle, but look, he's returned this season with a great win, and I think it tees him up nicely for the season ahead.
Yeah. I go back to the Henry VIII of last season, and it wasn't a very strong race, but he really looked a class above those, and I think that set him up to be one of the better 2 mile novice chasers last season. I'll be honest with you, I wasn't with him at Cheltenham, and I wasn't. I'm not sure I was with anything at Cheltenham in that race. If anything, I probably
Marshborough, wasn't it? Everyone's it was
no. Sorry, I'm talking last time.
Time
out when he got beat by John Bon. When he beat John Bon, I'm not sure I really saw it as much of an opportunity. If anything, I probably would have been in John Bon's camp because I kind of like the fact that John Bon's at that right sweet spot age wise and everything to be quite a solid champion chaser. But Load of Sud on soft ground, he just seems to jump better, and I think he's a bit faster than everything else out of soft ground.
Yeah,
I think that's really, really important. So I can understand why you like that. Let's discuss Illitate Thompson because you know that I love this horse because
I do.
I highlighted it to you for from some time out. I think he's got that nice form tied in with Gaelic Warrior. He finished third himself in an Arkle behind Gaelic Warrior and found a 50 previously. That looks a good, strong Arkle now, doesn't it? So,
absolutely, yeah. He appeared to relish the step up and trip at Aintree, didn't he, up to 2.5? But since then, he has dropped back to 2 a couple of times, and the same result. He's winning. So I don't think he is that dependent on trip. I just think he was a much improved performer over fences, wasn't he?
Yeah,
and he still is clearly going the right way now after winning his last start at Sandown for such a long absence. So
I mean, at the end of last season, Willie would have been delighted to have Illitate Thompson come back right at the back end of last season to help him secure the title at Sandown, because this horse come back as a super fresh horse, not having had a run for nearly a year. And there he was, ripe as rain, and he's beaten those horses at the end of a campaign. He's then come back and won over 2 mile 5 for his first run of the season over at Clonmel. Now, why do you think they ran him over that type of trip?
Yeah, so I find that quite interesting, really. I think it's not your average sort of trial for the Tingle Creek, is it?
No.
So whether they just maybe this was not their original plan. They've seen a pretty small field with really only 2 main dangers. Perhaps Willie Mullins is very clear. He feels he can beat those two horses.
Yeah. I think there's an argument to say, if you look at the 4 runners of the race that he running at Clonmel,
Again, yeah.
I think there's an argument to say that they probably
he clearly gets both trips anyway. So
they probably thought, right, okay, we want to give him a run this season. Where can we start him out without breaking him?
Yeah.
And
win a Grade 2.
And win a Grade 2. Not just any Grade 2, the Clonmel or the Chase, which used to be the race that Albion Photo used to mop up year in, year out, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
Look, Illitate Tomps for me is the classiest horse in the race, and at that price, he's somewhere near 10 to 11. If I could get even money about Illitate Tomps, I'd be all over him, because I think actually there's a train of thought that they could set it up for him, because it's definitely going to be a fast run race. I can't see them going slow.
A Grey will win the race, but you're on the wrong one.
Okay. Anyway, that is our sort of thoughts and views. Illitate Tomps probably for me, and Lotus
all day long. Nap the day, you know.
For Tom. All right, okay. The last race at Sandown, the 3:35. If you've not already completely done your kahunas, or in fact, you might be absolutely laughing because you followed every single one of. But split your bets between me and Tom.
Well, your horse returns again here, doesn't it? Hung Jury after a good win in the amateur race at Cheltenham last month.
Exactly, yeah. So 28 to 1, we tipped up Hung Jury at Cheltenham. We've done a lovely video. We posted it out where Martin pretty much told as many people that would listen that he thinks this is a massive price and it will go much better at Cheltenham next time because of the fact that he's now got that nice run behind him. He's also a Dower stayer, having already won over 4 miles plus. Comes in here over the sort of extended trip of 3 mile, 4.5 furlongs, and gets the beautiful bonus of having Sean Bowen on board. So there's lots to like about Hung Jury again next time out. He's not been absolutely harshly treated, I don't think. Only gone up £7 for.
He's well on top that day.
No, sorry, he's gone up £6 for winning quite handsomely with James King on board.
Definitely, yeah. And I just love the fact it was in those conditions that we're likely to see on Saturday. Clearly, the extra yardage has been no issue. Hung Jury is definitely one to keep an eye on, that's for sure. I would have been all over Arse Brewster here. It's quite impressed with him at Chepstow going back a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
But that was on good, firm ground, and each time he's tried this heavy ground, it just hasn't been at his best. So I have to wave goodbye to that one on this occasion. But the right favourite is O'Connell. Stepping back to 3.5 mile here would definitely suit that one. Admirably consistent. I love Gavin Sheehan over these long distance races. He's a patient rider, switches to the mark, expecting to jump in, full of running, I'd say. And I like O'Connell here, and Hung Jury to chase him home.
Hung Jury for me. I'll stick with it, and I think anybody who makes a case for Tanganyika for Venetia Williams has definitely got a definite case to be made. Finished second behind Mr. Van Gogh at Utoxeter in the Midlands Grand National. That was a decent run. Definitely got chances for sure on that one. Okay, so that's Sandown. That's our conclusion from there. We're going to give you our thoughts and opinions from Aintree. So the first race we just want to talk about very early, not because we believe that this is a great race to go. You must miss it or anything like that. Mustn't miss it. But there's 3 nice novices in the 11:48, so you'll have to get up nice and early to get there if you want to go and watch this one. But I think we're both of the opinion that Captain Hugo could be quite nice, aren't we? Yeah,
that's going to be an open race double, I think, for Captain Hugo. Cross card double, sorry, because he's going to win the first at Sandown as well with Sober Glory. Love Captain Hugo. Yeah, I was impressed with him when he won his bumper at Worcester. And then he made a really good winning hurdling debut at Newbury in a really hot race, I thought. Sinatra's come out and probably boosted that form, I think, and be on a good horse of Henderson's.
Yeah, agreed.
This looks a great opportunity to win another novice hurdle there at Sandown, at Aintree.
Okay. And if you're going to get switched on and watch that as early as you possibly can, keep an eye out, because I'm not sure where this one exactly goes, whether he is up to this, but maybe he's just one of those kind of lively horses for the Supreme Novices at a massive, massive price. I'm not sure what he is.
I reckon he'd end up in the form bit back at Aintree a bit later on.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, he'd be beaten there. Okay, right. The ITV racing continues at Aintree with the 2:05. Treasure Planet is your hot favourite, with Freddie Gingle taking the ride for Paul Nicholls. We know a bit about this horse, don't we, Tom? Because of the fact that
Yeah,
one of
I
your
mean,
yard
it,
ones
it was
run against
behind
him.
one of ours at Chepstow in Wolf Raya. We do like that one. He's a nice horse. This Treasure Planet did definitely improve on that to go and win out at Ludlow the next time. But that form hasn't stacked up very well with Mojito and the Mott's getting beaten today at Market Raisin.
Yeah.
So I'd be looking to take that one on. And I think the one to do that with is probably Edelac, who had a rating of 87 on the flat when trained by Johnny Mercer, I think it was. So I'd imagine the scouting team have picked this one up for decent money, I'd have thought, and looks to have a bright career ahead of him, providing he can jump a hurdle. But they're very good with these juveniles, aren't they? And I think we'll relish the conditions here. And I think they found a good opportunity on debut in a listed race, to go in and win one of these. And I don't think it's a great race at all.
No, I agree. I think it's a race that could be easily won by a horse that's more likely to end up, I believe, in the Boodles rather than the actual Triumph itself. But look, a little small chance with Ross O'Sullivan's horse here for me. I thought he ran quite a decent race behind Monge 2, who's gone and won nicely again since up at
last weekend,
Down Roy, but at Punchestown, wasn't it, or Fairy House, one of the two. Looks a nice horse, Monge 2, and Bybin must finish just 9 and a bit lengths back. That sort of lays that down as a lively one for this. James Bowen rides. He wasn't a bad flat horse either. Bought off the flat. I think his last mark on the flat was 84, so he wouldn't have been a million miles behind the Mercer horse himself. I think he's got that little bit of experience that could stand it in good stead. 2 hurdle races already, and I don't think by any means this is going to take the world a beating.
Yeah, I think Treasure Planet's a bad favourite. I'd be looking to take that on, and I'm hoping with Ezelac, he can jump the hurdle perfectly fine, and I think he can make a winning debut in a listed race there.
Right. Well, the Beecher Chase is a grueling contest this time of year. Often, I think there's a lot of rain coming again, so this is going to surely end up on softish ground. It's a good handicap. It's a race that's run normally. In fact, I said it the other day. I think this takes more getting than the actual Grand National itself, because I think a lot of horses can lob around within their comfort zone on the Grand National, whereas in here there's no hiding places. They go quite fast from the outset. And then the best horse that stays the furthest normally wins. You can normally see them out on their feet, in fairness, can't you?
Yeah.
You can almost picture it again. Some horses back here that have taken their chances. Should we start with this one? Because I know you mentioned it earlier. It's actually quite a fascinating runner because
It is a fascinating runner. Bioluminescence. I'm a big fan of the horse, actually. I've always been a quite keen supporter of hers. Look. It really, really bombed out in, I think, there's the Irish National at Fairy House when tried over this, sort of distance. That was obviously 3 mile 5. This is going to be 3.25 mile. So that's a slight worry. That's in soft, heavy ground that day. But I think it's a 30-runner race at a time in her career where maybe she didn't have quite enough experience. She's only a 7-year-old. I thought ran perfectly fine on comeback at Clonmel there in behind Spindleberry. Who, for me,
good horse,
is going to go and win at the Cheltenham Festival this year.
Oh, big comment.
I think Bioluminescence, they clearly like this horse, don't they? They pitch her in the deep end quite often, and there's so much more to come, I think, and already seen as half in price. So maybe that money is down already. So she's a fascinating contender. But we've got a few horses in here that are quite regular to these conditions.
Yeah.
A couple that you've actually pointed out from before.
Yeah.
Eye catchers to follow. So you might as well crack on and talk on them.
Yeah, well, I definitely have given Excello on as one to follow for the season from an eye catcher point of view. I thought Excello ran a really good race last time in the Grand Sefton. The race was won by Colonel Harry Gaboriot was in second. Mahan's Glory was in fourth. And White Rhino was beaten a fair bit back in sort of 7th or 8th. I just thought that last season, this was a horse that probably looked like he wasn't a staying, chasing type, but he's always been quite a nice jumper, and he's quite neat and tidy, and I think that's what you want around these national fences. And listen, there's nothing against Nico, but I actually think James Bowen's a really positive jockey booking for this as well. James rides the Grand National fences pretty well. He's quite a positive rider, and I think that Excello could be switched off quite nicely. If you actually go back and have a look from where this horse come from over 2.5 miles, Bearing in mind this is a step up and trip to 3.25 miles here. I think this is a big positive move at this horse's time in his career, where he's just starting to look like a real smart horse. He's only 6, runs off 10 stone 9. There's been a little bit of money starting to come in for the Nicky Henderson horse. Nicky Henderson has never won the Grand National, and the reason why is because quite often he hasn't got horses which are campaigned as Grand National horses. This is a horse I think he is absolutely doing that with now. And I think that the fact that he's running the Sefton, he's running the Beecher Chase, you could probably put your bottom dollar that he's trying to aim and land this one in March as one of his better chances for a number of years. And I think Excello is a real good play for me in the Grand National trial at the Beecher Chase. Any others that you want to talk about? Gaboria?
Gaboria ran a fantastic race, didn't he, last time under Robbie Dunn?
Oh, Robbie does some ride.
He does really well over these fences, Robbie. He most certainly deserves to win one of these, doesn't he? He's a proper horseman, and I think that tells in these races, doesn't it? That was over 2 mile 5. This is going to be over 3.25 mile. Look, he does stay this trip, but I just think his best form has definitely come up that 2.5 sort of mile trip, isn't it? And so I have a slight concern stepping up here. White Rhino, I think he can actually finish a lot closer to that one on this occasion.
Given the step up in
trip. He probably needed that a little bit, and he's shaped that way. I think he is an out-and-out 3 miler. And there's definitely a bit more to come from that one. He's extremely progressive going back a couple of years ago. And I haven't forgot how impressive he was in a couple of those starts. So, look, they don't just lose their way that quickly. And I still got a nagging feeling that White Rhino has a big race in him. So I'm going to go Bioluminescence, but I'm going to go each way, White Rhino.
And the final one I mentioned, before I confirm which one I actually like again for you, just in case, because I know last week we put the video out, someone said, you mentioned 5 horses. Well, actually, listen carefully.
Exactly.
The final one to mention is Bill Baxter, who does like it over these fences and was last seen running an absolute belter over hurdles. He's now rated 139. To get in the Grand National these days, I'm not sure that's going to be enough. So he'll need to be doing a bit more winning this season, even if this isn't his day. But he went also and won at the Punchestown Festival in the summer. Well, I say the summer, in spring, and beaten plenty of nice types over there. He's 9, and he's going to fit a lot of the Grand National trends, especially if he can get in to this type of race on the back of a decent run here. So, look, I think Bill Baxter could run pretty well. Sam Twiston-Davis, again, a good jockey booking who's great over these over these fences.
It's a really hot race, isn't it, I think? And it's going to be a fascinating watch, that's for sure.
Okay, and the last race we're going to cover and talk about today, and it is a good race, is the final race up at Aintree. 2.5 mile handicap hurdle, class 2 hurdle. I'm a bit gutted to see the horse that's that short. Actually, I actually thought before I was going to be looking at this was going to be about 7-8 to 1. I thought I might put this up at the weekend. I like Wellington Arch because he ran a good race at Punchestown in 3rd, beaten by Impostoir by 4 and a bit lengths.
He came from an impossible position that day as well, didn't he? Made that mistake 2 out and actually flew home to finish closing 3rd.
Yeah, and Impostoir we know is that's gone and done since.
Yeah.
He finished. He actually won at this meeting, at the Grand National meeting itself.
I backed him that day.
You did back him, mate, but Kopek de Me was a pretty well punted horse, and Impostoir was further back in that race. You can go and have a look. Weighed Out was further in that race. Be Aware.
It's actually a really good race, wasn't it?
Reckless Eric, Tune in the Box. I mean, I could keep going on and on, but what you'd be looking at is a load of really good handicappers. And I think Wellington Arch was really good at that day. Come from quite far back, beat, like I said, Kopek de Me. The only caveat to Wellington Arch is John Joe Neal's yard is obviously been in a bit of a difficult position at this recent times. They haven't had that many runners come back. I think they've had 2 so far.
He's had 1 run in the last 2 weeks,
and that one didn't quite go to plan. So you just don't quite know where they're at. But if they're fit and ready to go, I don't think he'd be running if he wasn't ready to go.
You'd like to think it'd definitely be one of his best horses, wouldn't it? Progressive at the end of last season. Very consistent. So, he's me one that I would want to keep on side of a bit later on the season. I'd be watching brief for me for now, given the circumstances from the yard. Active Authority, if he's got a cracking chance. Ran an absolute blinder to finish 2nd in the Martin Pipe Festival last season. Ran a fine race on reappearance at Newbury. We'll come on for that. I think the step back to 2.5 mile is the real key point of why I fancy this horse. The ground conditions will be absolutely fine. Yeah, I mean, there's lots to like with that one. Still relatively a young horse, so I think he's got a great chance.
Okay, good. What's your nap of Saturday, Tom?
It's going to be Lourdes Sud. For people that know me, I'm very fond of that horse. Yeah, I'm going to definitely stick with him after. He owes me nothing, put it that way, after winning at Cheltenham last month. So.
This is a difficult one because I don't know what price it'll be. But my nap of the day is actually going to be Sober Glory in the first at Sandown. I really think that this could be, again, Philip Hobbs has got so many nice novices. It's a real good novices hurdle, this, but
he's going to be odds on.
I just got a feeling that Sober Glory is going to be a cut above. And yeah, if he is odds on and you want something at a decent price, I suppose I'll give you Excello, a bit of bollocks on the line here. Let's go into a big
he was one of your eye catcher in the video, wasn't he?
A big handicap. I think he's got to be so much better than he already has shown. So look, Saturday's racing looks good. Hopefully you all have got a fair few sort of hints, tips, and a few sort of eye catchers for yourself from what me and Tom have discussed. And we've managed to bring you plenty of winners. For now, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.